IVM.
So it's been another great week at IVM Podcast, and if you aren't following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the major social media networks. This week on the Pragati Podcast, Pawan and Hamsini talk to economist Anupam Manur about how India is tackling creating new jobs. On the Pulyabazi show, tune into part 2 of Pranay's interview with China expert Manoj Keval Ramani. On Simplified in a Shorty, Shrikesh, Chuck and Naren give interesting tidbits about the qualifying round of the 2018 World Cup. On Cyrus Says this week, Cyrus has a conversation with friend of the network Vivek Kaul about the economy. On Who's Your Mommy, Veda and her friends discuss the strange and disturbing questions they've been asked by their kids. On Keeping It Queer, Navin talks to non-binary Instagram sensation Diane Rebello. On Varta Lab last week, Akash and Navin exchanged some hilarious stories with Balraj Ghai, owner of the Hotel Intercontinental and The Habitat. And with that, let me get you on to your shows.
You're listening to Keeping It Queer with Navin Narona.
Hi guys, welcome to Keeping It Queer. My name is Navin Narona, your host on the show. And every week I talk to new people from the queer community who share their ideas and thoughts and their life stories. And joining me today, a very fabulous person, is Vivek Tejuja.
Hello Naveen, hi.
Why the face?
Oh, WTF. I don't know. Just not being called fabulous in a long time, so maybe that's why.
I do give adjectives to my guest in general because I'm inspired by your
story. In general, okay, so you have to do this with every guest.
It's a formality. Yeah,
that's okay. Then I won't make a face then.
Keeping it queer and honest on the show.
Yes.
So Vivek, if you all have not read about him or read from him, he's an avid reader, a writer. He is a book reviewer. He's a consultant for several online bookstores that you buy books from. And we won't talk a lot about books today because that kind of shaped both our stories, I feel. So we have a lot of that commonness going. And let's start at the beginning though. Let's go to your early life in Bombay. How was it?
So, well, just like anybody's life would be, right? I mean, school, home, friends, building friends.
Correct.
College. And that's
like
when...
Five words and... nostalgia hits you.
I mean, and there was nothing, and it was great growing up in Bombay. And
which part though?
I was in South Bombay.
Oh,
so born
so
and
of
brought
course
up
it was
there.
Great.
So it was great, but no, I think, and after that when I moved to North Bombay a couple of years ago in the suburbs, I can't even call it North Bombay, right?
Which part?
Kandivli.
Kandivli is okay.
Kandivli East, it wasn't that bad.
I'm from Bhayandar.
Not bad, it's okay.
So that's beyond the North Wall.
But at least you're not from Thana.
Yeah.
So
same line is okay. I always say like as long as you can access one bogie and reach home.
Exactly. I think then we are sorted.
Yeah. You don't have to like climb 20 bridges and
that differentiation is only in people's head really.
Yeah.
But I think growing up in Bombay was a lot of fun. Was exposed to a lot of art in terms of literature, music, movies by my parents. There was no stopping really. Don't read this, don't watch this.
So what was the first tryst with a book that you had in your life?
So I think I was 15.
Okay.
And I picked up Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin.
Nice.
And that completely changed my perspective.
He's a great writer.
Very, very great. I mean, and Giovanni's Room induced a lot of sexual awakening as well, I must say. And I wanted a lover like that, and I wanted to be touched like that. So I think that helped me a lot in terms of not only accepting myself for the way I was and who I was, but also taking to another level, which was now to then look at the sexual awakening, so to say.
To be able to put words to how you feel internally.
Exactly. So it wasn't the usual magazine silly porn that boys grow up on, right?
Yeah.
It was different kind of intellectual porn, really.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
At 14, I remember I was first introduced to Sidney Sheldon.
Wow, I love Sidney Sheldon.
And the way he wrote erotica back then, I'm like, I imagine myself always, because his protagonists were women.
Yes.
And I imagine myself to be her because the things they would do with the men and their organs. Like
you're not the only one.
Yeah. So quite imaginative, quite a raunchy way of being introduced to the world of literature. Like there's action, there's drama, there's mystery.
So much.
And then there's great sex. So
I would do that with Jackie Collins books. I would be Jackie Collins women characters because it was strong. I would be Lucky, and I would Lucky Santiago, and I could take on the world. Or anyone from Hollywood Wives and The World is Full of Divorced Men. I have read them all between the ages of 15 to 17, I think.
I wonder how big your library is.
Well, it is. I can't count now. I've lost count and I don't want to count.
I don't mean that by any innuendo purpose.
No, that's okay. You can actually. That's fine. Since we are keeping it queer, might as well. But yeah, I love the point that you made about Sidney Sheldon's books, because there was Rage of Angels, I remember, and I wanted to be that lawyer whose name I forget. Master of the Game.
Yeah, Master of the Game was quite good, yeah.
There was one more, The Other Side of Midnight. I wanted to be her as well, but she was too lame, I thought.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Which is the one with the Pop Goes the Weasel one? Where there's like, she has dual identities and...
I don't remember.
Multiple personalities.
Now. Oh, that is Tell Me Your Dreams.
Tell Me Your Dreams, yeah.
Yes, that came out later, yes.
Yeah, because she is playing 3 different characters and has 3 different narratives.
True, yes.
And she, as 3 different characters, has sex with 3 different men.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
That's quite something. So anyway, we go back in time. But yeah, so then also my sisters used to like harness Mills and Boons and keep them hidden away. And
I just wanted the covers, that's all. I wouldn't want to read Mills and Boons, just the cover.
But it was quite tame back then, I would say, like in terms of...
Well, now when you grow up in a country like India, we are not exposed to a lot of nude men or a lot of men's bodies.
We are like when they are drying their clothes in their balconies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you can get a peek, but that's what we would do.
Yeah.
But trust me, in South Bombay, nobody was drying their clothes in the balcony.
But were they drying it?
Inside the house, I suppose. I don't know. They had a separate drying corner.
That's a new level of elitism I've been exposed to.
No, I'm kidding.
Separate drying room.
I'm just joking.
Stealing a person's wish to like see somebody naked in the balcony.
It's a joke, but I would see men come out of their bathroom and just lays in the balcony in their shorts or something. And that was something.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah.
So from there, like from the age of 15, then you started like identifying differently. Was it like you had a word to put to it?
Word to put to myself, yes. I think you come to know very early on when you're gay. I think there's something about it that just hits you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as early as the age of 8 or 9, and that impacts you. But I never put a word to it really. But I just searched for a lot of literature, a lot of movies. I remember when Star movies had just come into India, and it was just the beginning where there was no censorship.
True.
There was a movie called Maurice that used to be shown repeatedly late night on Star movies after 11.
Okay.
And it was about 2 men in love. Hugh Grant was there, and there was Rupert Everett also, I think. I think so. So it was great, and you could watch that without any censorship, and that led to some more testosterone rising through the roof, really.
Okay.
And you didn't know what to do with all that, right?
Late night TV viewing.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, that's the only thing that you have access to. But then literature was so wide, and people didn't even know that it was LGBT literature. It was just there.
Yeah.
Either in the school or college library, it was just there. Till you discovered it. And there was no Google to tell you.
Exactly.
That this is LGBT literature. You just figured it out.
That's beautiful, right? Like some people must have read that in the past.
Yeah.
But they're not telling you either. They're like, you discover on your own.
Which is strange, because nobody told us while growing up. Nobody told you that, okay, read these 10 books.
Yeah.
To understand yourself and your sexuality better. Nobody did that. You just had to fend on your own. You were thrown in the deep ocean and deep end of the ocean, and that was it. Cool.
So if we had to do like a rapid fire right now, could you name 10 books off your head that every queer kid should be able to read?
Giovanni's Room, Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. In fact, the entire series of Tales of the City, it is brilliant.
Okay.
Cobalt Blue by Sachin Kundalkar.
Lovely
book. Love that book.
Yeah.
I think even to a very large extent, I would say Yarana, which is an anthology of Indian gay stories, which I think is very important for an Indian gay boy to read, because that gives a perspective closer to home.
Correct.
I mean, which a Giovanni's Room or Tales of the City may not be able to do. Gacy comes out with a magazine, I think every once in a quarter or once in 2 months.
Yeah.
The Gacy magazine. I think that should be read because it has a lot of narratives, and not only gay, but the entire spectrum of LGBTQI and whatever plus, and the entire silly big acronym that it has become now.
Yeah.
So that, what else at the back of my head can I think of?
5.
Yeah, 5. Any play by Tennessee Williams, actually.
Yeah.
Because there's such strong gay undertones.
Yeah.
And that is very tragic because he could never come out and tell people that he was gay. People just knew.
Yeah.
So I think that...
was he around the time when Oscar Wilde was also around? Because
yes,
then he must have seen...
Tennessee Williams was way after. But Oscar Wilde, yes, of course.
He physically suffered because of his...
But Oscar Wilde, I think, was very, very flamboyant and almost out there with Bosie and his other lovers.
Very, very bourgeoisie.
Very, yeah.
I can't say it.
Bourgeoisie, yeah. I love that word.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything by Oscar Wilde for that matter. The Picture of Dorian Gray is extremely gay in its context and reference. So I think that there's this book called Lovers by Daniel Alcaron. It's a brilliant historical novel about this duke or aristocrat falling in love with this poor boy, a village boy or someone who's come to serve him in the court. And how that plays out between the ranks, it's just beautifully written.
Nice.
So I think that's a book that everybody should read while growing up.
One last.
Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe.
Okay.
This is a book about two teenagers who are best friends. And one of them is in love with the other, and the other one thinks he's straight. Till he comes to know that he's gay. And how their relationship plays out throughout the book once they've passed from school and everything. It's beautifully written.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So that's 10 books you all should check out and educate yourself. So, and I sound...
Enjoy, actually.
Yeah, I sound bougie right now.
Educate themselves.
I'm sorry. So, I mean, definitely because books have been such an integral part of your life. And for many others I've spoken to, because we were talking about, before the recording, about checking our privilege as gay men.
Yes.
Because... while there's persecution, while there's name calling, there's nothing you can not deal with in life if you're not, held back in that regard. If you read well enough, you can fight that system and find your position. Of course. So could you shed more light on that?
So I think I've never, like we were discussing, I've never felt victimized. For a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And I've never felt harrowed.
Okay.
Because no matter what an ignorant straight man or woman has told me, there's always been a rebuttal because I know better.
Yeah.
Because we read. And once you start doing that, I think it's so easy to just give those rebuttals.
Yeah. And when sass equals literature.
Yeah. And then the thing is, those people who discriminate or harass you or bully you don't know anything. They're so small-minded, literally so, that they just don't know anything. So it's easier to deal with such people than to deal with someone who knows what he or she is saying and then bullies you.
True.
So I think it helps to be well read. It helps to know the ways of the world.
So you even use literature to basically come out to your family.
Yes.
How was that?
So I just gave my parents a lot of gay books to read. And I think they were really petrified initially. What is going on? That is after I came out.
Okay.
And they couldn't understand. They just couldn't make a head or tail of it. And I think, of course, I would be quite okay if they skipped all the sexual bits, which I think they did. But they read it way later. Okay. They didn't read it then. I think they were also just trying to deal with the fact that the son is gay. But I think they came around eventually. It's been, like I said, 17 years since I've come out.
Nice.
Things have changed in the country. And I think for the better.
All through this, we're not exploring your age at all. So
oh, that's okay.
Cool.
For what it's worth, I'm 35.
And looking.
And single, yes.
So we'll take a small break here. And we'll come back and discuss more about literature and keeping it queer.
Yes.
So Vivek Tejuja and I will be back after a small break.
Every week comes a show where three people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman is this message. Thank you, Batman.
Alright, welcome back to Keeping It Queer. I'm here in conversation with Vivek. And before the break, we spoke about how difficult it was for some kids to, talk to their bullies unless, they had read something or, And hence, when they come out to their family, they need to be very well prepared or well versed with regards to what they can access.
Sure.
Because I remember early on when I was first coming to terms with my sexuality, there was nothing I could really access easily because there was no one telling me how to access those things, and hence my whole battle with coming out took years and years. And I think that's when the whole Satyamev Jayate episode came out.
Yeah, with
Amir Khan and Harish was there, and Jerry
a
was
couple
there.
of other people also were there. Yes,
Deepak Kashyap were there. So and there's a granny in there with Sambhav's grandmom. So that helped my mom and dad come to terms to an extent. There's other identities out there, and they're more than my son. Yeah. But literature is a very difficult thing to, first of all, shove down your parents' throat because they're like, we are beyond this. And
you don't even know if parents read.
Yeah.
And if they don't read at all, then how will they read gay literature? Right?
Exactly.
In that sense, I think the visual medium tends to work best, especially even for a movie like, say, Kapoor and Sons, right?
Yeah.
Which you're watching with your parents, and then suddenly Fawad Khan's discovery that he's gay.
Yeah.
Or his revelation in the film. So I think it's easier then to see your parents or gauge your parents' reaction in the darkness of a theatre.
Yeah.
That, are you okay, or does it make you feel uncomfortable? But that's the deal with parents, right, Naveen? That when it's their child, it's definitely not okay.
Correct.
But when it's another person's child, it's absolutely okay.
True.
So I think that irony is always there.
And I've been trying to take them to more adult-based theme movies. Recently there was a movie with Vidya Balan in it where there were a bunch of prostitutes on the India-Pakistan border.
Yeah.
So that was a movie it had a lot of bad words and raunchy scenes, but they enjoyed the movie. Yeah. So I think that there's some level of maturity seeping in now.
Good. That's really
but
great,
they still won't stop watching Crime Patrol at night. I don't understand what that is up about. I mean,
I think Crime Patrol and Savdhan India are rooted in our
insecurities as
old
psyche,
people. Yeah, it's just there.
Because I'm traveling and I'm going home late and stuff, and my mom's at 1 a.m. if I don't check in at home, she hears the key turn in the door and she's like, okay, I can sleep now. But if she doesn't, she's assumed that the worst crime plot that's happened in Crime Patrol is now happening with me. Somebody is shoving something down my throat and turning me on a skewer or something.
Not in a good way.
Exactly. I mean, that is happening, but Mom, if you're listening to this, years later, I've been a naughty child. So tell me about since your family had to read certain books to understand.
Yes, I gave them literally said, shoved it down their throats. Literally.
Yeah, like I said, not in a good way.
Yes.
So can we have a bunch of these books so there are other listeners who are listening to this, young listeners, can help their family if they are reading into.
So see, again, I knew somewhere down the line what my parents would perhaps read, so it was easier. But this is not a go-to list. It's just as a reference point, really. Correct. So I definitely gave them Giovanni's Room because that impacted me a lot. I gave them a book called The City and the Pillar by Gore Vidal.
Okay.
And that helped a lot. There was a book called Prayers for Bobby.
Yeah.
Which was also a movie.
Love it.
Yeah, so I gave them that. And that, I think, struck a chord somewhere because it is from a perspective of a parent. And not just
hardcore Christian parent.
Hardcore Christian parent.
Yeah.
Right? So fit in the hardcore sort of Hindu parent, so to say. I can't even know. I don't even know if you're allowed to say Hindu anymore. But well.
Yes, allowed to say Hindutva.
Yeah, we're not Hindu and gay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But so I gave them that.
Yeah.
Then I also gave them this coming of age lesbian book called Ruby Fruit Jungle.
Oh, nice.
Which I thought would somewhere make them understand and see that there's another perspective, another side to it as well.
Correct.
Just in case my sister decided to just come out one day. So they would have that reference as well. So I think with these couple of books that were there, and again, what was sad was at that point, there was no gay Indian literature, and if there was, it wasn't known.
Yeah.
So when those books started coming, I gave my parents those books to read, whether it was Yarana or Cobalt Blue, which my mother loved, by the way. I gave it to her 2 years ago to read it, and she absolutely fell in love with it.
The English version, with
of course.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think, and there was another book in Marathi that she has read, and that I didn't give her. She went and got it on her own. And I can't remember the name of that book, but it was a beautifully written book about two men in love. So, yeah, she read that on her own. So, I think she's making an effort somewhere now.
That's lovely.
So, yeah.
Like, my mom, like, she's seen how stupid I am when I'm into a book. Like, I'll spend nights just like, not to disturb the whole family, I'll put a torchlight on and read like an idiot, like straining my eyes. And I've done that, like, because I can't sleep early. That's my biggest
That's okay. I'm also like that.
Yeah.
I don't sleep before 3.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So you have to like wind down with a book and something like that. And so she's seen my passion. And she used to be a very avid reader when she was young. She told me, like, because she mainly read in Konkani, which is her native tongue. And she gets it. She gets the craziness. And when I spoke to her about queer identities, she was like, oh, I've read so many stories in the past where there have been like a woman in love with a woman and the whole village persecuting them for that. And like a small love story of a person who became from a man to a woman and fell in love with another man. And like all of that stuff. And so it's really profound to have an idea that she was aware of this to some extent at least.
How did that make you feel when she told you?
It was very elating because since then we've had many roundabout conversations about the queerness in my life, and she's being like a little more caution when you're talking about it. I'm like, but you know what, like if it helps somebody else in the long run, then I've done my
bit.
And though, like she feels like again my son shouldn't be persecuted. That's every parent's outlook in a way, right? Like, even though it's my son, but like, how will the society understand this? Because it took me time to understand this as a mother or as a parent.
Yeah, like my mom goes like, don't go tom-tomming about it. Yeah. That you're gay. I'm like, what do you mean?
I love the word tom-tomming.
Yeah, she's like, no need to tell anyone. I'm like, you think it is hidden? You think you can hide a 6 feet 1 inch man in your house, and when he steps out, won't people know?
He did air quotes when he said 1 inch, by the
way. No, so I think it's funny how parents want to cocoon us and keep us safe from everything, and
when that very thing caused all the initial anguish, at least, right? I think, it's like you're held back.
I think once you are a little older, you realize things, and that's when the conversations become easier.
Okay.
Assuring them becomes easier.
Yeah.
You're not angsty to slam doors anymore, which you will do, and that's when you read the books that we've recommended. Yeah,
and it's okay to like give yourself that teenage angst period because you feel that you let that steam off.
Yes, I have banged so many doors. I've broken a couple of them also in the banging process. But it's okay. Doors, by the way.
And headboards.
Yeah, well. No, so I think it's nice that even after so many years, it is at least some changes are visible.
Yeah.
Like now kids have access to Queer Eye on Netflix.
Exactly.
Or they have access to other things on Netflix. There's so many movies. There's so many shows that they have access to, which is great.
And something like Moonlight again getting the Oscar focus. Or even this year, like Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah,
like every year.
Yeah.
It's not just becoming another token agenda, but more like they're delving deep into the stories of how it is.
Which is what it should be.
Yeah, like initially, because when we get exposed to TV shows like Queer as Folk, for example, or Will and Grace, we get pretty typecast acts because they are basically going for the first layer reference. You know what, like there's a gay family and there's a gay couple over here. Like what Modern Family also did was like they
had to have that token gay
so they
couple,
went from level 1, and then by season 3 they were digging deeper into the stories of these people.
Sure.
So that's what I think is now really happening, is that the first wave created that kind of freedom to open these conversations, and now it's happening. Same with like Queer Eye we're talking about. Like initially it was only Queer Eye for the straight guy, and from there they now go into like helping out trans men and helping out women
in the second season.
So and broadening the horizon with regards to race conversations, which was not there in the past. Like
we had Sex in the City, which was fantastic.
It is.
I love Sex in the City.
That show.
Yeah. No,
Mr. Big.
I love Samantha, but I relate to Samantha.
I get that, but I don't know. Carrie was like always.
Yeah, I know. but it was funny that how we would find shows at that time that we could somewhere relate to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there was no
It was more of an inner monologue that I could like latch onto, because I felt that dual all my life. Like, where I'm like, I like this, but I also hate this. In my head, I'm just like, someone's being nice to me, but I don't like this about that person, and all of that. So I would relate to that a lot, I feel.
And the music, it was funny that how it was, and it still is Madonna. No doubt about it. But there was Gloria Estefan, there was Madonna, there was all these very campy women like Cher.
Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah. How can we not? How can we forget her?
Yeah. And like
healed many a heartache.
Well, I was growing up, Vivek, much younger.
Not much younger, I'm sure. Out with it.
Okay, how much do you think I age?
You're 31, 30. How old are you?
Oh, shut up. I'm 26.
You're 26?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm mature that way.
It's okay. 9 years is not such a big difference.
I'm just kidding.
Almost a decade.
Yeah, so I think my obsession was mainly Lady Gaga.
26?
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Not even kidding.
Okay, no. Please carry on.
Cool.
Lady Gaga is awesome.
Let it be known I'm 26 and...
and single?
And sometimes.
Okay, sometimes single.
When I'm not married to my job.
Sorry. Glee. I just remember Glee.
Glee is amazing.
I love Glee.
Yeah.
Loved watching it.
And to many people, including some of my exes, like, Glee has been like one of those shows where they can find more music about all kinds of music, basically.
I discovered a lot of music through
Glee,
the younger music.
And then you understand like how great an original sounds by its because sometimes the Glee versions are not that great, but like the fact that they're trying to cover it makes it nice for me. And the storylines were like whatever. It was just like a very high school musical.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Glee actually showed me, and though of course I was older when I watched Glee a couple of years ago. But Glee gave me the promise that, okay, these are these two boys who could fall in love in school.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And there's no judgment. And I hope that day, that time comes in our country when it's okay. And there's no judgment really.
It's happening though. Like I'm reading all these cutesy love stories from like, online blogs and stuff.
No, I know. But again, they have, like I said, right, they are privileged.
Certain level of privilege.
It's a lot actually. A lot. And I know. It's nice. It's happening. It's great. There's progress and everything.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like as compared to like this could be happening in a small town as well for all we know. But they can't flaunt it. That's the only.
Yeah, I hope so. They have no blogs where they can go and talk about it. Yeah.
So it's for us to find those stories and write about them.
Very interesting.
Yeah, no.
Gay in the village.
Let's basically trademark this right now.
You should just
dibs.
You should just go to villages and towns and see gay people there and talk to them.
Okay, see as in like in person.
Seek.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like can't just like stalk them to find out what's happening.
Seek them and share their experiences.
So what apart from Glee?
Did I remember what TV shows? It is very strange because there used to be... I was very fascinated, of course, by all the men in these shows, right? So there was Remington Steele, where I first fell in love with Pierce Brosnan. Oh my God. Then there were Dharma and Greg, where I loved Greg.
Yeah.
Because he's this typical husband and very straight-jacketed, and that's the kind of a guy that I like. So, but then I really enjoyed Will again from Will and Grace.
Yeah.
Though I found him most annoying in so many places. Then there was Ally McBeal.
Yeah.
And all these shows are so layered with so much of a gay context and subcontext that now that I watch it, I'm like, wow, it just hits me in the face. At that time, maybe it didn't. I was just watching it for entertainment.
Yeah.
But today, with some amount of awareness, I can make sense of it a little more.
Nice. So before we go again, like as we leave, what are you reading right now, and should we check it out?
What am I reading right now? I'm reading this book called Melmoth by Sarah Perry.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't even know the plot. I just got it sent by the publisher, so I'm reading it because I loved her earlier book.
Okay.
The Essex Serpent.
How do you get this job? I'm really intrigued.
Read.
Just read and then like...
And talk about it.
Nice. Done.
Talk about it.
I'm gonna do this.
You should talk about it on your Twitter, Instagram, wherever.
Become a social media hoe.
No, not really.
I just say things, Vivek. Don't
I don't know. It's okay. Now that I know you're 26, I won't hold it against you.
Wow. Were you holding it against me earlier?
No, never.
Sassy, never shady. Okay, so before we wind up, I do have a Goodreads account, so I'll follow you.
I'll follow you as well.
Done, and then I can...
It was great chatting with you, Navin.
Thank you. That made me feel better at the end
No,
of this.
I was just wondering when would he call me to his show. because I had heard other episodes and I was like, they are not very great. Why isn't he calling me?
Oh, the SAS gates have opened, guys.
No, but I'm not going to even name those episodes, so that's okay.
It's cool. It's cool. You can tell me off record.
Yes,
Don't
I
stop
will.
Recording. Cool. Thank you so much for coming to the show, Vivek. And
it's my pleasure.
I hope we can join hands again.
Of course.
And do another episode. I don't know how to say things anymore. I hope we can do another episode.
I'm laughing uproariously now. I have to go.
Okay,
Chalo, bye.
Cool. Chalo. We'll see you on the other side with the Culture Vulture segment. Even though we've spoken so much about culture, Farhad will still come and do his dirty work.
Don't go anywhere. The Keeping It Queer podcast will be back with the Culture Vulture segment featuring Farhad right after this break.
Hi, I'm Vishal Gondal, an entrepreneur. I've had the chance to meet and understand how some of the super achievers have hacked their way to success, and they have done spectacular innovations. Now I take a closer look at these people's lives to find out what lies beneath the force, only on the Vishal Gondal Show. Episodes out fortnightly on Wednesdays on the IVM website, app, or your favorite podcasting platform.
Hey.
Ha.
Guess where we are?
Where? I don't know anymore.
In the realm of geishas.
Ooh.
Culture Vulture is now on with Farhad.
Hi.
And as usual, we talk about different things about our lives and also from culture that we can project our lives onto.
I hope our lives sound interesting.
They do.
They do, right?
I do listen to our conversations afterwards.
You know, I recently had a binge. Because you've done it as a YouTube playlist. Check it out, Keeping It Queer Season 2. There's a whole playlist.
Yeah.
And I like to say we are very interesting people. Tooting my own horn at least.
Hey, you toot mine, I'll toot yours.
Oof.
Okay. But the thing is that I think the reason that people tend to listen to our conversations is because we bare our souls right here, right? And even today's topic is something that we wouldn't normally venture into, but because we should do it, right?
Totally.
So we're discussing fetishes today.
Fetishes.
Or fetishes, as Farhad was calling it before the episode.
I just can never tell. Is it fetish?
But I corrected him and I showed him where he stands.
Thanks. Not tooting your horn anymore.
I can't. My belly comes in the way. So tell me, Farhad, what should we check out?
First, you tell me. What did you have, apart from, I think all your listeners know that you are into stocky,
chubby, hairy, berry.
Are there any words that are offensive in that case?
Fat faggot?
Okay, straight up. Faggot. Okay, I get it. Because a lot of times I'm like, so I'm on the heavier side, right? And
fuck you.
What?
Is he, guys, my studio engineer? Do you agree he's on the heavier side?
But he doesn't see me. No,
he's saying no. Mayur saying no.
I'm at that sort of fatness where, if I sit for very long, there is a line under my boob. You know what I mean? Again, I'm just being like very body dysmorphic.
That is one of my fetishes actually.
Sweat under the boob.
Yeah, just like wiping somebody's under boob sweat.
Today in sentences no one has ever said in the history of mankind.
I told you eventually into this weird territory now at this point.
Okay. Sweat I get. I kind of dig
sweat.
In fact, okay, now that we've got the ball rolling. I specifically remember coming of age 13 to 14, I had a serious armpit fetish.
I still do.
Yeah. I sort of grew out of it. And again, now as we talk about our fetishes, I've realized there are a lot of fetishes that were just a phase. I was really into it. I remember I was really creepy about my armpit fetish because, again, if I have to dissect it, right? If I have to put it on a table and know why. Because when I was living it, I had no idea why am I constantly, if a guy raises his hand to do anything, save a ball from going into the goal, some straight shit like that or whatever. My first, I would just directly
why
look.
Why am I not under there?
I would directly look, to see what his I don't know why it was a huge this I never googled it, I never looked it up, but armpits were a big one.
I remember when we used to play cricket in our locality, I was like, no underarm bowling, only overarm bowling. So bad. So
Shit,
bad.
terrible.
No, but I still do. Like, I've met some men who are also into it, and like I kind of like lost track of it because I'm like, for many people it's like a hygiene thing and you don't want to do it.
Yeah, and I get it.
But this one guy once told me to like meet him that night after like not having taken a bath the entire day. Like, I just want you to come smelling the way you are. I'm like, that's weird. But but once we got into it, he was like really there, and I was like, oh, this actually makes sense. I kind of get turned on by this.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he rekindled that thing in me.
Again, for me to dissect it, and I have, for me, it was never about the scent angle of it. Although I know a lot of people, it's the what's the word? Aroma. I don't know. Pheromones. Pheromones.
Yeah.
I think it's the pheromone side of it. But for me, it was just the sight of an armpit. It was just like making.
But do you like them hairy or shaved?
Again, this was a X fetish. So I'm talking like 14 to 20. So I think it had something to do with puberty and see a boy come into his own. I don't know. That's just again my looking back in retrospect.
Yeah.
So I feel that was it. Like, I don't think it had anything to do with hairy or non-hairy. It was just like I had to look. In fact, I remember once my friend getting really conscious and telling me, dude, why do you look up my t-shirt sleeve? And I was so weirded out that shit, I'm actually, without realizing, people are catching onto it. It's like, you dig your nose and you think nobody's watching, but actually everybody knows you're a guy who digs your nose.
They see you wiping it everywhere. Yeah.
I know. I felt like, fuck, am I that guy? And all. But again, I genuinely remember it tapering off. Like, that was one. Then around, so here's the deal, right? I was dating a lot of girls in college, no regrets, because I, as gay and faggy as I am on air, I really am still very much into girls. Just putting it out there, please swipe right on me on Tinder. I don't know. I don't match with girls on Tinder, yeah. But the first time I decided to be in a relationship with a boy, he was a boy from Darjeeling. And he wasn't into me. And this is at a time when I was at my thinnest, most, like, I feel good lookingest, only because of what people were telling me. I felt like, wow, this is my prime. And there were so many boys ready, right, for me and wanted me and shit. But this guy was like, no. And there started my...
oh my god, this is so real. It's like the whole settler-reacher dichotomy, right?
Sorry, what's that?
Settler is like when you settle for somebody who you don't like really. And reach is when you reach out to somebody like really hard and then hope that they stay with you.
No, but what started with him, I remember suddenly northeastern boys, Japanese boys who I dated. I dated one, what word I'm avoiding here, but
Oriental.
Like Oriental. In fact, I hate using this term, but my friends started calling me a noodle queen. I remember that was a huge phase where they all started calling me a noodle queen, ramen fucker. It was really, I know it's all racist, but that was a huge phase of my life, and I knew that stemmed out of just a rejection. So it really always has been it's been a topic I think about, that what makes a fetish like what, and I would love to know the science of a fetish. Like, I wish there was a documentary or a movie or something that explored what really forms a fetish.
Are you aware of Kinsey's work though, like the whole sexual chart that he prepared to understand like orientation?
No.
So Kinsey was like a guy, and Liam Neeson played him in a biopic as well. Basically where they were exploring through the 50s and the 60s sexual habits in people, homosexuality, heterosexuality, threesomes and what turned people on and everything. So for different people it varies in different ranges. And that's something I found as well, like when someone's like really into me, as you said, like that guy was not into you and I kind of wanted you to chase him even more. That's been my problem for a long time, I feel. Like like when someone's really nice to me and kind of like serenades me in all respects, I'm like, I don't want you. I don't want this like easy.
But then I hate to shoot you down on this. Is that a fetish? I'm saying.
I mean, like it does classify. Like I kind of live for that thing where somebody's giving me a hard time to putting me down in some way,
and
give me the real
makes
deal.
You want it more.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing is, like, I'll tell you the real deal right now is that my ex and I still talk, as I said, and we're only sexting with each other. Like when we don't have normal conversations, we just end up like arguing. But our sexting things have like has been like very variant now.
Totally.
Things we never did in bed together when we were together. We're now exploring that through only sexting. Right? We spoke about texting also earlier. And now like he's also okay with giving me that dominative thing and I'm being submissive. And we're talking about like belt buckles and all of that stuff, like tying hands up and all that. And that's now come into the play. And I'm like, there's an entire part of us that I didn't explore. We didn't get to explore that back then.
Man, Because if I started talking about stuff I started exploring the older I got, of all the episodes we've done for Keeping It Queer, this is the one I feel like my parents should never hear.
I really none of them, but
I don't know. I'm totally, I've been peed on. I've peed on someone. I usually love to be
golden showers.
I love to be the guy who does. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know, and they are actually very uncomfortable. Let's just the logistics of golden showers is very annoying because you don't want to feel you can't do it in your bedroom unless you put out a giant fucking tarpaulin or
or sitting in a bathtub and
who's gonna do that shit. And even bathrooms, it's like I don't want to piss all over the place, but it's something I've really loved doing. That's an odd fetish I picked up over the years. It's something I'm living with right now. It's not something I want to do all the time, but there are certain boys who I'm just like, dude, I want to piss on you, man.
What about asphyxiation?
Asphyxiation. Okay. No, never. I have had boys who wanted to be strangled a bit, but I was a little too scared. It's scary, right?
I've done it too, but I'm like, if I just go a little too overboard, what the fuck will happen?
I don't want to be that fucking guy. First of all, I'm a headline guy. I read anything that happens in my life, I first imagine it as a newspaper headline, and I don't want to be like...
There's an article about this one girl who killed her boyfriend by giving him hickeys. Some capillary burst inside his head, and basically he had internal bleeding inside his head, and he just passed away. And I'm like, okay, no more hickeys ever. Even though I enjoyed them, I like nibbling on ears and necks and all that. I'm like, what if I burst the wrong capillary? And I'm just
my God.
First of all, I'm having gay sex, which is illegal.
Imagine being known as that guy who died like that.
Or kill somebody.
A person sucked on you too hard, so you died.
Yeah, whatever.
By the way, I'm anti-hickeys. I'm very anti-hickeys. But
now.
Yeah? But what, any other fetish? I really want to know, what other fetishes have you got? Any older, younger, outdoor? Oh my God, I'm a huge outdoor sex person, by the way. That counts as a fetish?
I think it does.
I fucking love outdoor sex.
Slightly exhibitionist, kind of stuff.
Exhibitionism, I fully live online. Again, if you follow me online, you know the kind of content you can get on my Instagram or Snapchat. Snapchat even worse. But I love outdoor sex. I had sex behind a waterfall in the middle of the road at 3 a.m. And I'm not even saying, a little stroking here and just a hand job type shit. I'm saying getting down to it in the middle of a road in Pune. That was last year. It's one of those sexual encounters I masturbate to till date. So that was what?
I'm just having a burp, I'm sorry.
Ooh, sexy. You think that's a fetish or something?
She, no. Garlic bread, no.
Must be
for somebody though. Please burp all over me. Burp all night.
I sure? Dude, there is no this. Okay, I'll tell you a little anecdote
if you have a burp fetish though, you can't practice anal because then you just have chole and then you can't one end can be better than the other end. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
This is one of those things that I don't know how to respond, Navin.
I know. I say too many of those things. Cool.
Yeah. But I'll give you, sometimes, it's not even about the obvious fetishes, right? I was chatting with this man. This is when Facebook is new. Suddenly, the whole world has opened up. You can chat with someone from fucking Hawaii. So basically, I'm chatting with this lovely man in Italy and... great humor, fucking sarcasm, on point, everything. And I'm like, wow, this is such an interesting man. We spoke for a year or two and I find him so everything. He's not my type, but I was like, wow, this is somewhere in the world is a man who gets me or I get him or whatever. And then out of the blue one day he's like, hey, I'm coming to India. Would you like to meet up? And I was like, yeah, sure. If Bombay is on your itinerary, I would love to show you around and shit. And he's like, listen, we've discussed everything. We've spoken about everything, but there's a little something I need you to know. And I was like, what is that? He's like, I have this incredible fetish that when I'm in a new city, I like to roam around the entire city with my travel suitcase. One of those trolleys, you have a handle, it has wheels and all. I was like, sure, how is that a fetish? And his next sentence was, I usually like it when the boy is inside the suitcase. And I just love to, and I remember my first response to him was, a chopped up boy. Because, and again, right?
Or an old boy.
Yeah, and the first thing I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to fit in any suitcase, you know, like unless you're carrying a fucking cargo trunk type situation and all. He's like, no, don't worry. He had like literally, he was like, I'll keep the zip a little open so you can breathe. So
Thank you.
And
how kind of you.
I was like, but no, I'm never like, I'm not going to put myself in a suitcase.
Aware of the streets of Bombay or what?
It sounded so innocent the way he was saying, listen, I know this is something very freaky to hear and all, but trust me, it just, he gets his rocks off just knowing that he's roaming around in a unknown city with a boy in his suitcase. And after that, I couldn't go back. Like, even though as much as I wanted to meet him, I just couldn't. Just knowing that this was something you don't know, man.
Mamma mia.
So fetishes.
Yeah. So my British friend once told me that he had this encounter in a British gay club.
Okay.
Where it's like basically like he hooked up with one guy and making out with him, and suddenly two more dudes appear in the background. Like they're just like watching them and kind of getting off on that.
Okay.
He's like, okay, gay club doesn't matter. We're in the back alleys making out, and so like he gets down and then basically he asks him to go down on him, and while he's doing that, he just looks up and now these two guys are right next to him, like a Trimurti just standing right there, and one of them slaps him real hard, and the other one starts peeing on him.
Oof.
And the guy in the middle does nothing. He's just like, okay, I guess that's normal, and he got very scandalized by that, like, you know, like he didn't ask for it. It's a very unwarranted thing.
Yeah.
So I think these foreigners have like kind of
these things have to be established.
Yeah.
I feel like fetishes should be established
discussed properly. Yeah.
Spanking, fanking, chalta hai. That's so like
that's
you
done move
to
on
death,
from that,
you know.
very vanilla,
I never get spanking, you know, because so many times I'm fucking a guy and he's like, spank me, and I just am so awkward. I'm like, okay,
the angle is never right. Have you noticed
because
that?
you know I will spank you.
Yeah, you have to go up to down or like side to ring, and then the risk is you also probably end up smacking your dick if it's in the way.
No, I'm all for like spitting and maybe mild kicking and all. It's because one of my fuck buddies is, can't say his name, or I would obviously never out someone, but he's he's an actor, and he's extremely, because he's an actor and he can never come out and all, his, I wouldn't say depravity, but like his need to explore sexually. He's the one who got me into this whole, I like pissing on a guy sort of situation. But man, he likes spanking. It has, like, I worry my neighbors can hear it. Like they feel like I'm beating someone up in my house or something. And I never go to that point. But it's, I just love that fetishes are something that with age you can just again keep exploring. They keep changing, they keep growing, they get stronger, they get weaker. I love that about fetishes.
I was spanked once really hard. And
you were spanked.
And for the first time in my life, I got into a local train and had to be sad that I had a seat to sit down on.
Oh, shut up. Oh my God.
I could not sit down for 2 days. That bad.
Oh, fuck.
Like 5 fingers
I hate
on my
being
ass.
spanked. If I'm getting fucked, I do not want to be spanked. I don't know. I just feel it's odd.
Cool.
Like, don't hit me.
For all of future Farhad mates, don't spank him.
Shake my hand.
Kick him around. Put him in a suitcase. Why not? Cool.
Yeah.
So can we just have some recommendations now?
Quick.
Quick recommendations.
Off the top of my head.
Because we never stop talking about shit.
Okay. First up is a terrible movie. I'm going to recommend a terrible movie. But if you look it up, you will find the boy so beautiful regardless of your type in men. It's called Gerontophilia. Okay. It's about a boy who is a very, very cute twink who's into 80, 60, 70 plus old men. And he gets a job in an old age home just to explore his fetish.
Nice.
And how he falls for a very aged geriatric black man. So that's first up. Just because of how I hate being so shallow. I hate being so shallow. But please just watch this movie for how beautiful this boy is. That's the first one. I don't know if you ever heard about Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. Okay, so it's an Italian movie, so scandalous and so banned in so many countries that the director was shot on the red carpet. He was killed on the red carpet. I'm surprised how many people don't know about this movie. It's about the Catholic Church who, like, because they are such a repressed they get a little island and they just get around 40 underage to like mature girls, 40 underage to mature boys, and they just throughout the movie make them do the most depraved things. Some of the stuff I feel awkward even saying on air. But let's just say there's one scene where someone has to scoop up stuff in a spoon and eat it. It is a really disturbing movie.
I think everybody else in the studio is nodding apart from me. What is happening?
Yeah, but again, you have to see it to understand that depravity nudity, sometimes that I feel is a huge part of any sort of fetish, and it's really glorified.
But Sodom has like a very biblical meaning in the Bible by itself.
Of course,
because
of course.
Sodom and Gomorrah were these two very inflicted cities where they were just like having orgies and had like all these things. And God rained down sulfur on them.
Speaking of orgies, like Caligula, I remember my dad, I saw it with my dad and I was like, okay, my dad's a fucked up person. Like, why is he watching this with me? Of course, I was like grown up and shit, but it was just like, Peter O'Toole, such a great actor, watch this movie. And I was like, oh my God, there was some really disturbing. For the 70s, it was a really disturbing movie to watch. Okay, I skipped one fetish. It's a huge fetish. You know, I'm also a part-time chef, but I love food and sex. Again, I not the tacky shit like honey on dick and suck, not that sort of shit.
Sushi on different parts of the body.
It's very expensive. That fetish might be very expensive.
I get it.
But I very recently. Should I say it? I say it? Okay.
What have you not said already, Farhad?
That's true. Yeah. That's true. So it was a hookup. Guy was over. We had dinner. We were like, oh, we don't have dessert. I was like, okay, let's call from some Baskin Robbins. He called for like a couple of tubs. And at some point, I'm regretting as I'm saying it, but there were 2-3 chocolate flavors. And at no point should you use chocolate flavored ice creams for lube, especially with gay butt sex. But I did, and it was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I fucking ate him out with ice cream from assorted orifices. It was shit. I said too much.
That has been done to me as well.
Yeah?
Do you feel comfortable now?
I don't. I feel I never feel uncomfortable. So, but this is the first time I'm like, shit, why did I say that?
With me, immediately after that whole, so we had a Baskin Robbins thing as well, and chocolate flavor, chocolate fudge, and we didn't use as lube, but like it was kind of consumed from different orifices. Immediately after that, the bed broke.
Oh my god! But okay, speaking of quickly food, I dated someone very moment. It was a fling, almost 1-2 months. He loved it when I ejaculated in things he was about to eat or drink. So I'm not kidding. His black coffee, he would want me to ejaculate and then he would drink it. Like, it was a very random.
I have a friend who likes whiskey mixed with
cum.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
So everybody has their own thing.
Everybody has their own mixers.
And chasers.
So Tampopo, not only my favoriteest food film ever made, it is a Japanese film. It is the best food film ever made, hands down, in the history of mankind. Please watch it. But it has the most erotic food sex scene ever filmed, I feel, on camera, ever. And I'll just give a gist of it. It's a couple making out, but they basically just transfer a egg yolk from one mouth to the other without them breaking the egg yolk. Please watch that scene. It's on YouTube also. If you don't watch the movie, at least watch that scene. It is fantastic. Like, you just understand what a sensual experience food can be. So, food, sex, great fetish, and I feel like I've spoken enough about fetishes.
Cool.
Even though there are way more.
Way more. So, dear listeners, if you do have your own fetishes, write to us anonymously or with your own names, because sometimes it just like feels better to have someone who kind of connects with you on that level.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, I can't wait to ice cream fuck someone. Like, shit, man.
Yeah.
I regret saying that.
Wait for the first of every month because they have discounts there. Gelato has discounts.
33 flavors. Yeah.
So, we'll see you next week with an all-new episode of Keeping It Queer, an all-new discussion of Culture Vulture. My name is Navin Narona. You can catch me on House of Narona on Twitter. And Farhad.
Yeah, just look me up on Instagram, Farhad. Just look up Farhad Karkaria. I'm sure you'll find me.
You'll know where to find him. You'll see his stories. Yeah. And you know you're at the right place.
I'm so specific. Other people do Twitter, Facebook. I'm fine with Instagram. Just message me on Instagram.
Keeping it on a DL.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll see you next week and bye.
Bye.
There she stands, a podcast addict. Outside the bank, having travelled several miles to get in with other poor souls like her. The journey, though daunting for this youngling, will have some comfort because she has downloaded her favourite podcast. You can see more of her species on ivmpodcasts.com. Your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.